Hi, this is Joe Bolen, and today we're going to look at event procedures. Creating a Windows form control program entails learning how to use event procedures. Many of the controls, including the form itself, have behind it many events that we can harness to map out how our program will run. And today we're going to learn the essentials of a very simple program using those event procedures and learning how to take data in from a control, process it, and send it back out to a control. So let's get into Visual Studio and learn about event procedures. Okay, I have Visual Studio up and I'm going to start a new project. This new project is going to be a Windows form application, and I'm going to call this Event Demo. Okay, and I'm going to go full screen as soon as it comes up, and I'm going to change the magnification as we work in our code here. Okay, first thing we do when we start out with a new form is we want to rename the object. So I'm going to come over to the Solution Explorer, rename it from its default Form 1, and change it to, in this case, we'll make it a form, main form for our name. So I'm going to call this mainform.vb. Going to then highlight the form itself, make certain I have main form in my components drop down box, and I'm going to ensure that I do have in fact the name main form for that. Then I'm going to set the font to the default font that Microsoft recommends for graphical user interface, and that is to use Seago UI regular font style 9-point font. Then I'm also going to come down and change the caption area of the form and call this Event Demo. And I'm going to change the start position for this one to be center screen. So we've created our form at this point. We've named it main form. We have changed our font to the Seago UI 9-point font, which is the recommended font by Microsoft. And we've changed the start position to center screen. And we've also taken our text area, the caption area of our form, and named it Event Demo, which we see on our form we have. At this point, I'm going to hit the Save All button and save this one in a location for the projects, and I'll just call it Event 1 Demo, and I hit Save. Okay, our project is very simple at this point. I want to bring the toolbox over to see it, and I'm going to pin it down to the Visual Studio. And we're going to bring in, first of all, a label. And I'm going to grab a label here, and I'm going to drop it right here. And this label will be titled with the text number. In fact, I'm going to use the quick access key by using the ampersand first, then a letter number, colon on that. I'm also going to change the name of the label from its default to number label. Okay, so I've changed the name to number label, and I've given it the text ampersand number colon. And you'll see the ampersand is turned to the quick access key on the form to an underline. Okay, the next thing we're going to put in is a text box. And I'm going to drag it over to the spot here, get it about where I need it, let go. I'm going to also enlarge this a little bit bigger. And this one is going to be labeled number text box. Number text box for the name, and it will have no value for the text on that, and we're set with that one. The next one I'm going to have is another label, and I'm just going to quickly take the number one here, do a Control-C to copy it, then a Control-V to paste another one in, and line it up somewhat. And I'm going to call this one the result label. And its text will be just result, colon. Okay, so that I have that in. Now I'm going to have another label, and I'm going to drag this one over and drop it here. And this one is going to be called the result value label. Result value label for its name. And for its text, I'm going to blank it out. So I delete out the text. We're going to change its auto size from true to false. I'm just going to double click to make it false. And now I'm going to size this one out. And I think it'll probably be about on the size down here, it'll probably be 218, we'll say right now, by 23. And while I have it highlighted, I also want to change its border style from none to fixed 3D. Now we can see it again, and we can line it up with the other text box and get it set. Now I'm going to do one other property change on this one. Since the alignment for text align for a label is top left, I'm going to change the text alignment in this case to middle left. Okay, so we've got our different controls. We've got three labels: number, result, and our result value label. The result value label, though, is not auto-sized, and it is a back. The border style is fixed 3D, and we changed the text alignment to middle left. Okay, now we're going to put in a button on our form. And this button will be the one that will fire off our click event on that. So I'm just going to leave it right about here. And I'm going to change this button's name to Submit Button. And I'm going to change the caption on the button itself to ampersand submit. Now the ampersand will allow for quick access. If I hold down the Alt key and hit S, this will be the same as me clicking to this location. Now we have a couple of ways to actually create an event. And one of them is to double click on the control. And a number of controls have on our form do have events to them. We can click on the Submit button and create the default event. Or we can go over to our properties on that, make certain we have the Submit button selected in our drop down, and we can then click on the little lightning arrow to go for events, and you'll see that there are a number of events associated with the button object that we have put on our form. Now we're going to use the default one of the click event. And I could just click on this twice and create a quick one, or I'm going to just give it a name, Do It. Do It. Get my spelling right. So I've created a do it procedure in a minute. Behind that, I'm going to hit enter, and we'll see that procedure created. Now I'm going to go to behind the scenes, and we'll see that it created a procedure for me automatic called do it. And it passed in a couple of arguments, and then there is the handles clause, and I'm going to change the magnification so it's a little easier to see. The handles clause of that submit button. The procedure name is just do it, and when I click on the submit button and hit a click event for it, this procedure will run. This is what's called an event procedure. Now for this one, we'll make it very simple. We'll take our result value text box, value label, and we'll take the text property of that, and we'll assign to that text property some information that we received from the other text box. Let's put in you entered, and then let's use our concatenation character, the ampersand, and then let's take the number text box, take its text and add it to there. So I've got a literal string you entered colon blank. I'm adding to it the string that comes from the property of the number text box that we have on our form. We're going to make one big string, and then we're going to assign it with the equal sign to the text property of the result value label. And we're going to do this all when we hit the submit button and hit the click event, and it'll run this do it procedure. So let's do this. I hit the start to begin the debug, and you'll see my form has a number ready to go in. I can put in 10 and then hit the submit button with my mouse, and it said you entered colon 10. Exactly what we wanted to see happen. We processed in the value of 10 as a string that came in here. Then we added to it you entered colon space, and then we took that whole little string and then assigned it to the text value of our result value label on that for us to see our output. The important thing I would like to have you understand when we're doing this is that the text box is a string coming in, the text property, and we're going to a string on that. So we have no problem with it processing. Okay, I'm going to take this code right now, and I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to come up in front of the public class, enter in 2 lines, then a new option strict, and I'm going to turn it on. Okay, we've got that set, and let's go back to our form. And as I said, there are a number of ways to process the button. We can, as I said, come over here to the events, or we can double click and get the default. I'm going to double click this time on the form, and it also created the procedure. I'm going to put in an underscore, then hit enter. This is a continuation line. Will make it easier for you to see on the screen the procedure. At this time, it took the name that I had given to the control submit button, added to it the underscore click, because that's the event that defaults to, and then once again we see the handles of the submit.click event. So we have in here that information. Now let's add, take our information that we've learned thus far. Let's declare a number. So I'm going to do dim a number as double. Okay, now I'm going to take that number, I'll make a space here, a number. I'm going to assign to it, and I have to convert it to a string, to a number. So I'm going to do a C double, convert to double the value of my number text box dot text. Earlier we talked about that when we're working with things, sometimes we're working with string and sometimes we're working with numbers. In this case, for me to do processing of a number, I need to convert my string value into a number, and the convert to double does that function for me. Okay, I'm going to take a number, and to that I'm going to take itself and just add 1. So if I enter in 10, I'll have 10 plus 1, assigning 11 to that value. Okay, at this point, a number is a double data type, and now I want to output it to my result value label. So I want to have result value label, and its text properties where we put the result of our calculation. I'm going to assign to it. Now the temptation is just to say a number, but remember, a number right now is a double data type. It's a numeric data type. We need to convert it from a numeric value to back into a string, and one of the methods we can use is the default data types to string property. So I'm going to hit to string, and this will take whatever value is part of a number and it'll convert it back into a string value, assign it to the text value. Let's let this one run. So at this time I'll enter in 10, hit the submit button, and I should get 11, and I do on that. I'll enter in 15, and I just hit the submit button, and I'll get 16. So we basically create a very simple understanding of the event procedure. The submit button is going to have an event associated to it when I click on it, the click event. That click event then has a procedure that's been assigned that whatever we code within that procedure will be processed. Here we declared a double data type, a number, and we converted it from a string to a double data type, processed on it, and then turned it back into a string for output. This concept is very important to understand because we use this very much throughout all of our coding of event procedures. Now let's make this a little bit better. If I ran this and I entered in something other than a number, we're going to see an error. Let me do that. I'm going to enter in my name, Joe. Now Joe is not a number, but the text box will take anything that I key in. Now I can control the text box, but right now we'll just say I'm entering in Joe and then I'm hitting the submit button. And in a minute we're going to see an error occur, and what we have is an invalid cast exception error is being unhandled, and the program basically is stopped, and because it can't process what it received in. And if I put my cursor over this, I can see that I have entered in Joe for the text, and it's getting ready to process this, and I can't do that. Okay, I'm going to close out by stop debug in the program, and let's correct this problem. This is normally a great way to do things, but we haven't made it idiot proof. Let's make it a little bit better. Instead of convert to double, let's try a different procedure, and this one is called a double tryparse. Tryparse takes the first argument of its method, and in this case it's taking the data that we have from our screen, And then the second argument is what it's trying to convert it to. In this case, we're going to convert it to a double number. So we're going to convert it to number. So there are a number of tryparse methods. We're going to use the double tryparse because we're using a double data type. In this case, if I enter in Joe into my text area, it will not know how to process it, but it will not error up. It'll pass it through. A number will remain its default 0 value at this point, and then it'll add 1 to the 0 value and give us just 1. Let's let this run. Let's see. So I'm going to enter in Joe this time for the number. Hit submit, and I'll get 1. I won't get the error. And that's one of the other things we have to always watch. What will the user key in? We would like the person to key in a number, but they may not. So I've got that set with the tryparse to take care of that. Now while I'm working with this, let me tell you there is a shortcut from this type. I'm going to rewrite this line up here and say a number. And I'm going to use what's called the shortcut method plus equal and then put 1. And I'm going to cut this out of my program now. The one below it is the same as the one above it. What it's doing is taking a number and then it's adding 1 to itself, and then it returns it into the location in memory where a number points. So this is the exact same procedure we had before. Let me run this one. This time let me enter in 99 and hit submit, and we'll get 100. And that does the same thing we had before, and we've now got a very clean program. We've dimensioned a double data type variable. We're running the double tryparse method over that to convert our string into a double, and then we're adding 1 to itself, and then we're taking that double data type variable's value and converting it back into a string and assigning it to the text value of our result value label. Okay, let's go back to our form now and add another button. I'm going to slide this one over a little bit, and I'm going to, for quickness, do a copy of this button and then a Control V to paste it in and put it right there. I'm going to change its name to the clear button. And I'm going to change its text to say ampersand clear. Okay, now I'm going to quickly come up, highlight the button, then double click on it to create a procedure in the code. I'm going to add the continuation mark just before the H of handles. Hit enter. And in this one, we want to clear out our labels and our text box so that it's clear for entering in data. So I'm going to first of all clear the result label. So let's clear the result value label. And for that, we have two methods we can do it. We can use the empty string like this, which is perfectly fine, but sometimes it's a little harder to read, and it's not necessarily the best thing for the compiler. So we have a special method called the empty string. String empty. String empty is the same thing as if I were to use two double quotes with nothing in between. So I'm clearing out the text value of this label. The other thing I want to clear out is the text box itself. And so I'm going to go to number text box, and the text property is what I'm after, and I want to clear that out. I can also use the string empty if I want to clear it that way, Or I could use, as I said, the double quotes. But one thing nice about a text box is it has a special function. And I'm going to use that instead. Instead of the way we have it, I'm going to use the clear function. And that'll do the exact same thing. Unfortunately, though, the labels do not have the clear method to it. We have to clear it out in this manner with the equal assignment to the string empty property. So this will allow me, when I hit the button, to clear out the values that I had. Let's run this program. Okay, I'm going to enter in 23, hit the submit button, and I get 24. I can come over now and hit the clear button, and 23 and 24 should clear out, and they do. Now, one last thing to make this really nice is when I want to clear it out, I want to put my cursor back up into the input area of the text box. And to do that, I need to set the focus to this text box area. So to do that, I'm going to come back to my clear button. I'm clearing my my label and my text box out. Then I want to take number text box, and what I want to do is set the focus for input back to the text box. So I use focus. And as it comes through, it'll clear out those two different controls and put the cursor back in the number text box. Let this run. Okay, I'm going to put in 56, hit submit, get 57. I'm going to hit clear, and when it clears, it should clear out both of these values and put the cursor back up into the text box. And there the cursor is back up in the text box. So with this little event demo program, we have two events. We have the submit button click event, and we have the clear button click event. We're coming in, taking a variable that we've named a number, making it a double data type, which is a numeric double precision number. We're running a tryparse method on it to convert it from a string to a number, and then we're going to add 1 to it with the shortcut plus sign equal, and then we're going to take that value, turn it to a string, and assign it to the text property of our label. Then when we come down to the clear button, we're going to clear it out with the string empty. On the label, we're going to use the clear method on the text box, and we're going to set the focus as our last step back to the text box, or if we had more than one text box, back to the first text box that we want input to appear, and get the cursor ready to go for its next run. So this is a very simple program, but is a very powerful concept of what we're doing. We're converting data from string to numeric, processing it numerically, then turning it from numeric back into string and outputting it to our control. So take a look at this program, get a little idea how it's working, try some different ones. You can also try to make it an integer and use the integer tryparse. You can change things a little bit and try some other conversions, but you saw that the conversion to double failed if I entered in anything other than a number. And that's one of the things we have to remember. We want to make certain we have good input before we process it. In this case, if I inputted Joe, it wouldn't be good input, but it would not error up, and we want to prevent that. Later on, we'll make that process a little bit better. We'll catch the input error, tell the user what the error was so they can put the right input in, and then process the program. The old adage is garbage in, garbage out. So we want to make certain that no garbage comes in. We catch it up front and process it. The tryparse method is an excellent way to catch things, and we'll learn more about the use of the tryparse method. We also saw about using the string empty method to assign an empty string to a label, and we saw that we can use the clear method two text box controls to clear the text box out as well. And finally, we saw that we could move the cursor to the text box by using the focus method. So we learned a lot in this one. Take a look at it, examine it, try some on your own, and we'll come back and do some more later on. You take care.